Hello, welcome to Infinite Prattle. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a bit of a passion of mine, and if I was really rich, how many pairs would I have? I'm talking about boots. So let's have a good old prattle about that, shall we?
Thanks for listening to Infinite Prattle with your host Stephen. Follow me on social networks at Infinite Prattle, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.
Thank you for joining me again on another episode of Infinite Prattle. The hat today is an Ultimate Warrior WWF throwback. Mitchell and Ness. Very, very nice. I'm going to wear it backwards, actually, so I can see a bit better. I was going to say so you can see my face now, a bit clearer, but if you're listening only, then you don't care. And if you're watching the video, it's probably a bit scarier. But thank you for joining me. I'm a little bit worse for wear today because I did stay up and watch WrestleMania. Recording this the day after the first night of WrestleMania. Great show, great event. If you're not into wrestling, then you probably don't care. But yeah, so I didn't get into bed till about 4 a.m. this morning. So a few hours sleep, about 5 hours sleep. I used to be able to live on like 4 hours sleep. And I don't get me wrong, I could function. I think I haven't got the energy to go out and be productive again today. Apart from this, obviously. So yeah. Oh, I've got my t-shirt on as well. I'll explain what t-shirt I'm wearing. I'm wearing a memento for my Caribbean cruise, and I've got a t-shirt and a little logo on the top left breast. It says, "I'm the reason the rum is gone." And on the back, it has like a skull and crossbones. It's very Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing. I couldn't help that. It's funny for two reasons. One, because I do love rum, and I could be the reason the rum is gone. But also, ironically, I hardly ever drink anymore, so that probably wouldn't also happen. But I did bring some rum back from the Caribbean, so I need to actually try that at some point. I haven't even opened it yet. It's been 2 weeks. Damn it! What am I doing with myself? What's my life become? Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about boots, and I never got into boots till I went to college. I think some teenagers get into it. It becomes like a grunge kind of indie scene, kind of rock and roll scene, and I never really had any boots apart from Wellingtons, which are not the ones I'm discussing today. If anyone doesn't know, Wellington boots are the boot sport when you're going into muddy places, come up to your knee, we call them Wellington boots in the UK. Apparently after, I believe, the Duke of Wellington, who invented them. I don't know if even that's true. I'm sure someone on Wikipedia has put up the whole factual story about it. Don't believe me. Anyway, and my first pair of boots were a pair that I bought myself. Always liked to have a pair of boots. My brother kind of inherited some off my dad a couple of times, his old work boots or whatever, and my brother bought his own, and I just never owned a pair. I always wanted some. And then when I went to college and really wanted some Dr Martens, but I never got some Dr Martens. I thought they were quite expensive for what they were, and then ironically I bought a lot more expensive pair. So a lot of people at college used to have Dr Martens, and if you know what Dr Martens are, they're, I think, originally a British brand. They could well still be. You never know with the international market who's bought out who and who is a big conglomerate and all that. But essentially, Dr Martens was a British company, I think, originally. Pretty sure of that. And they make just black boots basically, normally with thick soles, known for being very comfortable, long lasting, and were associated with like mods and rockers and stuff like that. And a lot of my friends had them, and they were reasonably expensive. Even like they're expensive now, but even back then they were expensive for a boot. But me being me, wanted something a bit different. So when the time came and when I had a little bit of money because I was working, I thought, I need to get myself a boot. I've wanted boots for years. Let's go and buy some boots. And one of my friends had a pair of New Rocks. Now, again, if you don't know what New Rock boots are, let me educate you. By doing a quick Google, you will find them pretty quickly. They're a company that's been going a long, long time. I believe they're Spanish. And they just make like outlandish but beautiful boots. So very, very thick soles, metal riveted to them, like flame designs, all in leather, real leather, lined. Just really, really nice boots. And some of them like go up to your knees, some of them are shoes, but still with the big soles. And they became synonymous with like goths and rockers as well. And one of my friends had a pair, and I just fell in love with them. I was like, they are the nicest boots. And she told me how much they were, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. But she was like, listen, they're heavy, but they're like the most comfortable things I've ever worn. They're waterproof, they're warm, they actually don't overheat your feet as well, because they're breathable, because obviously it's leather, it's natural. And I was sold. I was like, I need to save up and buy a pair of these boots. My mum and dad thought I was mental. Like, and in hindsight now, if you look back at like the price and the cost of living, and I use the inflation calculator all the time on the Bank of England website. If you haven't ever used that, go and use it. It's so fun. You can like look at things back in the day and see how they've, see how compound interest has affected that price of that item. So you can kind of get a reasonable idea of if things today are reasonable price based on your wage kind of thing. So you can calculate how much your wage has gone up to how much that item's gone up and what the difference is. It's pretty interesting. I do it quite a lot especially when I go to stately homes. So we go to stately homes quite a lot, me and Sarah. Not as much as we like, actually. We probably need to start working on that. Cost of living and all, though. But they normally list things saying, oh, back in 18 something or 17 something, this cost £3.50. And you're like, oh, £3 and 10 shillings, whatever it was. And you'd be like, what the hell was that? And then sometimes they give you, like, what that would be in today's money, in their money. So it's still not added the interest. So it'd be like, this would have been the equivalent of, like, £3.50 or something. So then you can go £3.50, I hate you say. Indeed. And it's a good job there's no Loch Ness monsters around. That's a South Park joke. I apologise if anyone doesn't get that. Go and Google that. A bit of an in-joke with me and my mate. We always say that when we hear 350. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I always go on the inflation calculator and go, how much does this house cost to build? Then you can put it in today's money, and it's insane how rich people were back then, and they threw their money around. Like, it's a great little tool though. But that's what I do, and I use that for these boots, so I can kind of understand where my dad was kind of like going, are you sure you want to spend that much money on these boots? That's a lot of money for a pair of boots. And I think I paid, now I can't quite remember, but I think I ordered them from the retail brand Shoe, and I pre-ordered them. I went and tried them on somewhere, but they didn't have the ones I wanted, so I had to order them in, hoping that they were going to fit. They had a really dodgy returns policy, as far as I remember, where they'd only give you like store credit if something didn't fit. So I was like, well, I'm going to spend that money on. And I think they were about £140 or £160. I can't remember. That was like 2001 money, 2001 money. Probably was 2001 if I'm honest with you, because that's when I started to work properly. I did have a bit of money saved from my summer job, so it could have been 2000. Anyway, bought these New Rock boots. They arrived. They were beautiful. They were comfortable. They were heavy. And my dad liked them, actually. My dad did like them, and he was like, if they last, then, the investment's fine. But in today's money, I checked, and it was like, that's like 360 quid in today's money. So he wasn't wrong. That's a hefty price to put on a set of boots. But the only thing I'll say, they lasted me. I wore them to death. Like, you don't understand how much I wore these boots. Like, I went to festivals in them, concerts in them. I just wore them daily. Like, sometimes wore them like to the shops. Well, I just wore them daily. So yeah, anywhere. And the only time I didn't wear them was on my motorbike because they were too bulky really to change gear and stuff. So they had a big thick heel. I was a bit gutted about that because I could have probably changed the controls on my bike to accommodate them, but they weren't really. I don't think they'd have been safe really to ride a bike with. But they were just amazing. They were just they were the big chunky New Rock boots as you can imagine if you've seen a picture on the line. They came up to like just over my shin. They're these big shin guards that went up the front with three lines of metal, the New Rock logo. They were quite plain. They weren't the ones with the flames. I did want the ones with the flames. Then when I saw the plain ones, I was thinking, you know what, you might get bored of the design. Classic is probably better. But they had like riveted plates on the front and the heel. They were just amazing. They were just so good. And even years later, I mean, the soles didn't even wear away. I mean, you'd think like maybe the leather's fine, leather's okay, but the sole would wear away, and it did a little bit, but for the amount I wore them, and I gave them to a charity shop, I think, to do the recycling thing. I thought they're just too good to go to landfill. If someone can like extract the leather or the sole and recycle them stuff, it's always the best way. And it was a heart wrench. It was a heart wrench because one of the pieces of metal had snapped, and I thought that's not really repairable. And the heels had started to wear a bit, so they were a bit uneven. And when I walked, I sounded like a tap dancer because the metals used to click on the floor. That's because they'd worn slightly at the ends. But they were still as comfortable, and they still looked fantastic. I remember polishing them up, thinking, could I keep these? And I polished them up, and yeah, the answer was no. Like they were still beautiful, but yeah, there's the metal had all started. The actual rivets had actually gone before the actual boot itself, which is funny that the metal had actually gave way before anything else. Yeah, but I think that was. It's got to have been around like 2017. It was when I was clearing up for moving out of my house when me and Sarah got together. And we got together in 2016 and I moved in 2017 or to the end of 2016, something like that. Yeah, it'd have been 2016, so I gave them away in 2016 to the charity shop. So I had 15 years out of them. So that's not too bad, I think. And I think if I hadn't gone around kicking things with the metal bits on heels, because I used to stand and tap my heels and kick walls and stuff, and like a stupid young person does these things. But yeah, I probably would still have them now. I don't know if it's stupid of me to give them away actually and recycle them. Maybe I should have taken them to a boot restorer or shoe repairer and see if they could have done anything with them. I just felt that it would have been like so much money. It might have been worth buying some new ones. But I haven't bought any new boots of them. But I replaced them with a set of Magnums. A brand I'd never heard of, recommended by my brother-in-law. He said that he'd had a pair and they were good, so I bought a pair of them. They are really, really comfy. Probably the closest I've had actually to the New Rocks. And then I like my work boots, though. I used to get issued work boots through my job, and used to love my job, partly because I used to be able to wear boots all the time. And people go, oh, they're impractical to walk around in, blah, blah, blah. They're not. Like, you get used to it. Like, the weight of them New Rocks, you do get used to it. I had brilliantly toned calves from lugging them things around every day. I think each one weighed about 2 kilos. It must have been. It felt like that at least anyway. And it can't have been far off that. They were heavy things. Even my dad was like, Jesus, these weigh a ton. How are you going to do anything in these? But they were like weighted shoes. And I feel like that's part of why I was so fit when I was younger, because I got so used to walking around these. Like when I put a pair of trainers on, like I felt like I was on the moon. It was crazy. Plus, they gave me a little bit of height. They were like an inch or so on my height. So that's always good, isn't it? Especially when you're 5'7" like I am. But yeah, it was just a lovely pair of boots. And I've had a few other boots in my time, like cheapo ones, some like Desert Combat ones. I cheaped out on what Timberlands, but I didn't want to pay the money for them. So I went to a cheap shop and I bought I think they were called US Brass. They were fine, don't get me wrong, but they weren't fully like leather and stuff like that. A lot of man-made materials in them. And yeah, they rubbed a bit, and they looked really good though. They looked the part. And I remember buying 2 pairs of them at the same time. I bought the sandy like desert kind of coloured, like the Caterpillar brand and the Timberland brand do. Kind of inspired by Will Smith, because at the time Will Smith had released an album, and on the front cover he was wearing these kind of boots, and I was like, oh, they're an alternative to my New Rocks. But I think after wearing the New Rocks, they were no comparison. And I bought like a black pair as well, just as a black ankle boot, as an alternative to the New Rocks, which I hardly ever wore. In fact, they actually become just a knock around the house DIY boot. So I used to put them on if I was doing anything in the garden or anything like that. But my Magnums are like the go-to boots, and I still have them now. So they've lasted a long time. But I don't wear boots as much as I used to. I think it's my age, really. I think it's my age. Like, putting them on, it's not as quick as just throwing I've got slip-ons and stuff now, so it's not as quick as like throwing a pair of like slip-on Vans on or something like that, or it's like a comfortable pair of trainers just to zip out of the house. And I think we all like take a bit more time when we're younger as well. Like I had like an image to uphold. Like I used to take ages putting all these rings on, which I've actually been wearing again recently. I used to have like rings on most of my fingers, and I'd do my eyeliner and sometimes a bit of black lipstick, because as you do, and black nail varnish, and depends how gothy I want to go. But I'd spend time getting ready, not like stupid amounts of time, but now it's like grab some clothes. I still want to look nice, but I just grab some clothes straight out, and I kind of go on the level of it now. What am I going to do? Who's going to see me? So if it's just nipping to the shop, don't really care. Whereas back in the day, if I was nipping the shop, I never knew what my plans were. So I think I protect my time a bit more. And I was like, right, I'll go to the shop and I'm not going to wander around aimlessly. Whereas when I was younger, I just was like, yeah, I'll throw some stuff on, put my boots on, and my boots dictated the style, I suppose. Wearing them New Rock boots, you kind of had to go all in on that rock look to manage that style of that boot, I think. But yeah, I just throw stuff on and go out, so it's just easier to put a pair of slip-ons on or a pair of trainers or But I do finally own a pair of Dr Martens. Like, oh, I got married in boots. That's probably a big thing to talk about. I actually got married in boots. So there are pictures, I think, on my Instagram, of our wedding, and I wanted to wear a kilt, but I didn't want to go full, really formal kilt, with proper shirt and ruffle and all that sort of stuff. But I wanted the kilt and the sporran and all that sort of stuff, and a jacket and a shirt and a tie, but nothing too, a bit more casual, a bit more less formal up top, really formal kilt kind of thing. Like do the proper kilt, and then I had like rolled down socks. My kilt knife, my sock knife was put in, which wasn't actually a knife; it was a bottle opener, because you can't walk around with a knife. And I bought boots, and God, it took me a long time to find boots for my wedding. So I wanted a very particular style and a particular colour. I wanted a pair of brown boots, but they couldn't be like too sandy red, and they couldn't be too sandy yellow. So they had to be like kind of like a rusty mahogany kind of, that sort of colour. And it took me so long to find a pair. And every time I found a pair, they didn't have even if I found a pair that I liked, they didn't have my size. Oh my God, it was awful. And eventually one day, they were expensive. If I found the pair I liked, they had my size. They were like ridiculous expensive, like £400 or £500 sometimes, like designer ones and stuff. And I was like, I'm not buying that. That's ridiculous. And then Sarah one day just sent me a link to the Harley Davidson website. She'd seen like an advertisement and this pair of boots, and she was like, oh my God, look, these boots look cool. Plus the Harley Davidson, you ride a motorbike, there's a bit of a motorcycle link there as well. They're not really full-on branded with Harley Davidson, it was just a little bit on the side, which you probably wouldn't be able to see because of my socks. And they had my size, and plus, the best thing is, they were like a third off, or 2/3 off. So they should have been like £200 and something, and I think they ended up being like 90 quid or something, which was still a little bit more than I was hoping to spend, because the rest of my outfit was very expensive. But they came, they fitted, and I wore them to death. Like, I had to throw them away because they literally, the zip fell apart on them, and yeah, they were so loose. But that's what I got married in. So I got married in a pair of boots, which was probably where the idea of this video came from, and my love of boots, because I wanted to get married in some. And it kind of completed the look, it was like that casual, booted, Scottish vibe, which is what I was going for. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be really smart but have that casual edge, which is kind of me. That's like the style I go for. I like to look presentable and smart, but I don't want to almost be too formal with it. There's always something on me that's like, oh yeah, he's chill. Well, that's what I go for anyway. Or I'm full chill, like, as Sarah said the other day, like I had prison fatigues on because I was wearing grey shorts and a grey hoodie and it looked like I just come out of prison. So I was like, thanks, my love, thank you. Very nice of you to say. Yeah, but I do have a Doc Martens pair now. I bought them, I think it was the beginning of last year. We were over in Ireland. There's a Dr Martens shop there, Doc Martens shop. And we went in, and I never see anything. I always see things I like, but they never have my size, etc. The same old story. Or they're just too expensive. And I saw this pair of Doc Martens, and there was two that I liked, and they had a special edition version in. And the special edition version was like just plain black Doc Martens, but they had this white stitching around it, very, very reminiscent of like a pair of cowboy boots. And they were, I think, called the Cowboy or something like that. They had some sort of Western kind of inspired kind of name, because everyone has to name their brands, don't they? They name their models of things. They can't just be Dr Martens black with stitching. It has to be Dr Martens black cowboy sunrise or something like that. So tried them on. They fitted really nice. And I bought them, and they were expensive. They were more expensive than I wanted to. They were about the same price as my original New Rocks. But I thought, you know what? You paid this for your New Rocks. You've wanted them for 20 goddamn years. Just buy them. So I bought them. But they're not as comfortable as I was hoping. Don't get me wrong, they're nice, but they sometimes rub me. They don't fit my feet as well as I was expecting. I think I'm like weirdly in between a size. And wearing them in was a pain. Like, I've never had to wear a pair of boots in like this. But I think it's because a lot of the ones I've bought before had a lot of padding in. So like that kind of takes like the effort out of trying to wear them in a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't the experience I was hoping for from my Dr Martens. But I've worn them in now. I wear them, and they are actually comfortable now. And I just have to remember. I think the whole rubbing thing was me not really doing them up as tight as I should do. So every time now I put them on, it takes me a little bit of time to put them on because I make sure they're all undone properly, put my foot in, and then tighten them up and do a proper big double knot and make sure they're secure. Because as soon as they start getting a little bit loose, trouble in shoes. And you always see it straight away, but trouble in shoes, trust me. They give me a few blisters. So as soon as I feel them starting to get loose, I have to stop and do them back up again. So apart from that little bit of annoyance, they are really, really nice. And I'll probably have them for years because I've worn them quite a lot in the last year. Again, it's the whole thing of them taking time to put on, really, because of the whole tying them. Like my New Rocks, as big as they were, and they had all these buckles down the side. I could undo the zip. When they loosened up, so I could undo the zip, put my foot in, loosen one of the buckles, and I was away pretty quickly because the zip went all the way down, foot straight in, bang, out of the house. So I probably could put them on faster than my Dr Martens, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, it was lovely buying a pair of Dr Martens, but I felt so guilty at the price, and so I'm completely in my dad's shoes when I was in that Dr Martens shop buying them boots, thinking this is a lot of money. But Sarah said, "Listen, you've wanted them, you work hard, just bloody get them," kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I will, and I'm glad I have. I've got Dr Martens. Would I buy another pair? Probably if there was something I really liked and mine were running out at the end of life kind of thing, running out as if they deplete. I suppose they do in a weird way. So yeah, I probably would, but not for the foreseeable future. And they have a design that I really like. Quite happy with my Magnums now for just general use. But yeah, I just like boots. And I would probably buy loads. And I really would love a good pair of cowboy boots. I'll have to say that when I go to America. And Cuban heels. I'd like a pair of small ankle boots with Cuban heels. Because prints, man. Yeah. And I'm 5'7". It would help. But yeah, I think the whole boot thing is like I try not to let myself get down a hole. Like I buy a pair of boots that I like and I stick with them. But there is that thing in my back of my head because I am a collector of things, as you can see from the scene behind me. And for people that can't see that, there's a lot of shit behind me. I would collect boots and I would buy multiple pairs. I almost wish that I'd bought a second pair of the Magnum boots when I bought them because they are so comfy and they don't do that model anymore. And I'm like, what if I buy a new pair and they're not the same? So I completely get it where people wear the same clothes all the time because they're comfy. I think Ozzy Osbourne did it actually. He used to wear the same tracksuit bottoms and he used to buy them in bulk because he liked them and that's what he liked. And you think, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. If you like something and you're going to wear it a lot and that's your style, then there's no harm in it, is there? It starts to get ridiculous when you move on to other things, like maybe like cars and stuff like that. But boots is fine, yeah. Boots is fine, I think. Boots is fine. Is that not very good grammar? Anyway, that was my tired ramble and prattle about boots. Do you like boots? I don't know. I've said boots a lot in this video. I apologise. It is a video about boots. It's a podcast about boots. I keep saying boots. Oh my god. I think I'm stuck. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Are you obsessed with any item of clothing? I like hats as well. I collect them. But is there anything that like you wanted for a long time and they either did or didn't meet your expectations? I'm always curious to hear what you guys think. put a comment in the description below, or share and reach out. You can actually message on Buzzsprout. So if you go to the description of this podcast, you can actually click the link and message me directly, which is always nice. I think you can actually leave like a voicemail now as well, so you can do a voice note, which is cool. So yeah, have a crack at that, because it'd be nice to get some feedback. This is a two-way conversation, if you can get a word in, and that's how you get your words in. So until next time, thank you very much for listening and watching, and remember, take care of yourselves and keep on prattling.
Thanks for listening to Infinite Prattle with your host Stephen. Follow me on social networks at Infinite Prattle, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.